Good evening to everyone and thanks. In this conference, I will be more concrete. I will speak more directly because things are gone much too far, and I still struggle to help in keeping the last wish of Empress Michiko to help to the past struggle for even the existence of Japan as state because things are gone much too far. And the betrayal disease, named like that by excuse, became so contagious in Japan among the ones who should have as duty to defend the country, not to assert it and to make it disappear as state, that we say that some viruses made by the occult evil group as biologic weapons in their laboratories were not so contagious as the betrayal spread among the ones who should defend Japan, not sell it totally on a handful of money or on an illusion of power, the power over it being to the NSRs, or on some privilege. So things are very bad. So I show you very short the baby to see it's me. We have a lot of things to speak. Just a moment. Look, Mena Antonia Alexandrina, baby, you know already. The baby wanted to be killed, being the only granddaughter of your former traitor leader. And she's, as usual, tried to be attacked in many ways by the evil occult group, as she was attacked even before to be born. So, we'll speak later about that. And now I'll try to focus your attention to the following headings. 1. The huge danger for the existence of Japan as state done through betrayal and deceiving state cop by the putschist traitor Sota Higurashi, who prepared not only the country to be annexed by Russia, but also destroy all the democratic and basic guarantees of rights of the Japanese citizens. 2. Some dirty actions through manipulation to plunder again with huge sums of money all the countries of the world of the occult group through traitors and the robots representing Kishida that since a year plundered Han Japan with the pretext of Ukraine calculated war and the fake aliens with humanoid robots and impersonators instead dead leaders by countries committing theft of identity, deceptions, usurping of official quality, and also war crime, creating and encouraging and helping such war. For plundering resources of the countries, making huge diversion and spreading deep fakes and war provoked for that and sacrificing innocent lives and purpose to undermine the safety of the border of the whole world to create chaos and to plunder with that pretext of such war, huge sums of money from all the countries as they did of Japan. Just a moment. Continue. Helped a lot but the bonds of the evil occult group who leads through deceptions. South Korea involved deeply in the activity of destruction of Japan. Special regard to the diversion made by Russia's pawn of the evil occult group who helped Sota Higurashi to destroy in Japan the identity as state in order to be annexed easily, to create all the conditions for that, to be annexed by the godfather of your former traitor emperor, who was my former husband, and who didn't manage to destroy Japan, even by changing abusively the constitution, but the huge traitor actor Sota Higurashi, servant to Russia too, managed the deceiving state coup and anti-democratic putsch in Russia's mob benefit, creating the condition to be annexed Japan. Short comments about the diversion made now with the so-called rebellion with the group of penal perpetrators used in their calculated war in deal between Hector Zelensky and Putin, like that. 3. Short comments about how the gang of the evil occult group infiltrated pawns and corrupt officials having in charge the protections of the children for kidnapping children with legal appearance for human sacrifice for real and for traffic for organs, according to wish of the disciples of the Ram and of all the gang of the evil occult group, including those who defied David and Moses and are mentioned in Bible Revelation 2:9 under the name of the synagogue of Satan, who, quote, say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Finish the quote. Short comments about mob gangs financing, hiding and helping the occult evil group in their wish to control total and to enslave the world, to such groups servants hidden to them, and how such groups use children without to be observed, without to react such organizations partake with them in kidnapping, and after deleting by digital evidence from the evil occult group, there's, as Montesquieu said, there's no greater tyranny than the one that takes place under the shield of the law and in the name of the justice. Finish the quote. 4. This is disastrous role of religious manipulation unite with deceptions and stimulate unpurposed lack of education and fake culture to deceive the people and to use officials for Pharisee religious manipulation to fool the people and to keep it under total control of the evil occult group. And exactly for such things wants the group not to be guaranteed through Constitution the fundamental human democratic rights for the Japanese people. Let's start. The first issue. Montesquieu said that the difference between the absolute monarchy, I point out absolute monarchy, and the despotism concerns in the fact that in the case of absolute monarchy, a single person rules with absolute power, but he rules through law set up and fixed. Short comment, including the fundamental law of any state concerning the national identity and the citizens' democratic and basic rights. And, on contrary, that's the difference, a despot rules according to his own will, means arbitrarily discretionary. So, Montesquieu pointed out that even an absolute monarch rules after fixed laws, while a despot rules according to his own will with absolute power, and, said him, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Finish the quote. Because, as Jean Sharp said about the despots named by him dictators, a country's finance and natural resources and production capacities are often arbitrarily plundered by dictators and used to support the dictator's will. Finish the quote. In The Spirit of the Laws, Montesquieu explained that even the absolute monarch, not in a constitutional monarchy, but in an absolute monarchy, even an absolute monarch is geared in his leadership to rule based on the fixed law. And he spoke, I insist, about the absolute monarchy as it was in his time, not about the Japanese tradition in democracy, because today there exist as states constitutional monarchies in which the monarch is not absolute as in his time. But he warned since then about the danger of despotism where, contrary to any monarchy, even absolute, the despot ruled about his own will, not about fixed laws. And in that trap, Torapu Rasu fought Japan with Sota Higurashi, the actor, traitor. Because until him who fooled your audience, your traitor leader was a traitor monarch, but even if his godfather Putin and Kirill, his friend, asked him that, and himself wanted to be a despot according to his own will, who baptized himself to fool you, he still had not the possibility, even if he wanted, through such a monarchy, to be a despot. There was still the Constitution, even violate, even abusive changes step by step, starting through the betrayal in 1986, starting the betrayal of Masakito Yamato, whom, after working with him to forward me and Empress Michiko, whom I helped, continued the betrayal that. But they didn't manage to destroy the country even if they wanted. And being still the Constitution existing, even violated, even illegally changed, they had the interest to keep secret its illegally abusive changes and could not serve totally Japan because even North Korea had a fundamental law. But the traitor actor Sota Higurashi, about whom the best friend of Putin, a religious mob, defied me, thinking he is winner, and said to me that I can do nothing anymore because he, their servant traitor, fooled you all, managed to deceive you all with some clothes of samurai on the streets, invoking tradition to deceive you, and exactly by that they destroyed the traditions, the tradition of democracy, of the human right, the traditional democracy in Japan, and the national identity with a theater done by him, and he became despot, serving Japan to the evil occult group, like that it was led by robots as Kishida, but said it was led through robots as Kishida by the evil occult group, and making better what my traitor former husband, your former leader, didn't manage to do, even if he wanted, through other theatre. As example was what he did by staging his own death on the method, on the modus operandi of his friend, the mobster rag of Russia, Yong. Nikolai Yorgas, the historian, said the snake is odious not because it bites, but because it hides to bite. And your former emperor tried to fulfill the wish of Godfather Putin and to assert Japan to him under the dictatorship, even illegally and abusive changing the constitution, but through religious manipulation. And the constitution, even violated, stopped him to do that. Because of the still existing constitution, even defied, he couldn't destroy Japan as state. But Sota Higurashi managed, by deceiving you, to create the condition to assert totally Japan and to destroy through the deceptions the constitution, the national identity of Japan, to be prepared totally to take the constitution of Russia. And of course, he destroyed your basic rights and their guarantee, your millenary democratic rights. And he managed to create the condition for Russia to annex easy Japan by taking from Japan the national identity, the democratic tradition, letting the leadership of it in the hands of traitor, despot, samurai. That was the tradition of Japan. Montesquieu said that only the Chinese had in that zone despots in history. So Japan, he said, never had. And your former traitor emperor, even ordered by his godfather Putin, couldn't, because of even violate an abusive changed constitution, forbade that. And couldn't change. And the next step being through that putsch of Sota Higurashi, being under the dictatorship of a single man traitor working against the country and without constitution, Montesquieu said that in monarchy, even in an absolute one, there are fixed law, and the monarch, even absolute, rule only according to those fixed laws, but the traitor general samurai became a despot, acting against his own country through deceptions, through theater, and destroyed all the democracy and identity as state of Japan, taking absolute power on his own hand to rule according his own despotic will, better said, not only his own, because he had behind the whole evil local group who wanted Japan disappeared from the map, and he destroyed the constitution. He took as despot the command for preparing the annexion and to take Japan the constitution of Russia. But my husband, the military, died pursued by Russian mob, by Russian army in those times in which they wanted finish totally the annexion of Japan, about which I tried to tell you many times, but I registered in vain and no one broadcasted. And having not another way to start a war, for which they prepared Japan under one-man despotism, they could not destroy Japan by throwing it in war in a fake name of a group who my late husband shipped and under intelligent blood and through control proceedings. So they did manage that, but Japan was, through the traitors I said before, under one-man despotism and without constitution, prepared to be taken through such war, to take the constitution of Russia, the Russian pawn of the evil local group, seeing their plan with my late husband to be destroyed and forced to do that didn't succeed, they passed the baton to China for annexing Japan after my husband died. And they want to do that while the war diversion provoked by them, because if Japan without constitution is under despotism, as Montesquieu said, ruled in the hand of a man even if in a moment of history could be a man in good faith as General Samurai, he can be replaced through an attack in a second with a traitor who to give in the next second the country annexed instantly as they tried, exactly as they killed recently the two general samurais called Nori, Hakiko and Kato, who struggled to make again democracy in Japan and to stop the plan of annexing Japan, but they were killed in a second through replacing them with traitors, then for letting prey to enemies Japan through even a simulation diversion of war attack, Japan under despotism and without constitution, without national identity, without fixed democratic rights guaranteed for the people, to be annexed in a second through a simple order of a traitor who may be appointed as general samurai, as he was the one who replaced the two general samurai patriots killed being in good faith. And they were killed because they understood the necessities of defense of the country. They understood and that the existence of the constitutions not only don't disturb them as general samurai, but help them and even increase their attribution in the domain of national safety and also in the domain of preserving the democratic rights and the basic rights of the people, of the Japanese citizens. Because yes, if Japan is a state and has to remain a state with national identity, not a neighborhood or county of China or Russia, or even as Kurile is island, the samurai must have attribution increased for protection of the national safety of the country, but also for protection of the basic and democratic rights of the people, of the citizens. And the two killed in good faith general samurai recently killed use their power, not discretionary, to let Japan be annexed, but exactly trying to repair through elections and to restore the democracy in the country and the people's traditional democratic rights, and to stop also the dirty plan of the evil group to make Japan disappear on the map, being already without constitution and under deceiving despotism without national identity, according to what Montesquieu said, that no monarchy, even absolute monarchy, even more a constitutional one, could do that. And it is very sad to say and to see that the situation of Japan is worse than in North Korea, targeted to be annexed and led hidden totally by the evil occult group, commanding for deceptions, for fooling the North Korean people, to reboot instead the dead leaders Kim Jong-un and Kim Yo-jong, dead for a long time. And with the army of North Korea destroyed, and because it was commanded by such robots prepared exactly in order to create now for real war. I remember you that the former leader of those army was exactly my late husband, whom I remarried about I was married with your traitor former emperor. His name, without be changed, was Kim Yong. And when I married with your traitor former emperor, I was blessed for that by both Emperor Akihito and Michiko, and asked as wife by your former leader. But after he killed Empress Michiko, he tried to force me to betray. Then I stopped the marriage and I remarried my husband, now dead, destroyed by him and by his gang, trying to force him through microchips, being Japanese citizen too, to destroy Japan, claiming war through a fake G7 composed by humanoid robots and impersonators instead did leaders, and they did manage to destroy Japan totally. They destroyed only my late husband, and I hope his death was not in vain. Through it, you find out now the truth. And now, I hope you won't be again deceived, although you were deceived by Sota Higurashi, falling in a despotism without constitution, lead on the own will of a traitor, for taking through annexion with a diversion of war the constitution wanted by them of Russia. But their plan failed exactly through the death of my husband, who wanted to be forced to claim the war for doing that. And now the evil occult group passed the baton to China to annex Japan. I repeat, since Empress Michiko was killed, there is a problem of conscience for me, because both the Emperor Akihito and Michiko asked me to marry your former leader, thinking if he wants me, and yes, he wanted me, I can somehow stop any dirty action of him. And I myself initially didn't occur that his actions were done on purpose against Japan, and neither I didn't know about the insemination and about the hidden reason for whom Emperor Akihito was blackmailed by the disciples of the Ram to resign. I occurred and I found out later, and I really thought then I can stop the betrayal. But seeing not only I cannot, but seeing after he killed the Empress Michiko, he tried to force me to do betrayal too with him after he killed her. And the Empress Michiko said I was all that she was half. I realized I cannot stop him like that. And I annulled the marriage and I remarried. with the military who was destroyed by him and his gang trying to force him to destroy Japan and North Korea too, and the benefit of Russia, respectively South Korea, with the Accord of China. Now, the pawns of the evil group interests are the same, support by the whole group, but for annexing the country, for annexing Japan, remained without constitution, without national identity, and under a despotic regime, as Montesquieu said, they want to take the constitution of the enemies. Passing the baton now to China. But I said, I hope he didn't die in vain. At last you find the truth, prove he's dead, and now you know what you have to do. And for me, there's a conscience problem, huge for me. And sometimes I struggle to stop the annexion of Japan more than some who have directly a samurai to national defense, because many traitors were infiltrated as samurai since Empress Michiko was killed. Because Emperor Akihito and Empress Michiko hoped that I can stop by marrying your traitor leader to dirty plans against Japan. And when Empress Michiko was killed by him, according to the will of his godfather Putin, with which even he celebrated the murder against the Empress and against the many Japanese Yong killed in Romania immediately after, they blasphemed in Russia as pious Holy Paraskeva on her day, taking course by that saint for blasphemy. And for some of you who may ask, no, neither I nor my late husband had not Putin as godfather. And even Putin wanted and me and him destroyed. They managed to destroy him, but me still not. And I was disciple of the priest killed by the gang of Putin and Kirill as awkward for them. The best friend of Emperor Akihito and Empress Michiko, the priest Vasily Runkano, whose crucifix the Emperor Akihito kept always on him, made and given as a gift by the priest to him, made while he was imprisoned for faith, and Emperor Akihito kept always on him until the traitor stole it from him and threw it in a toilet for blaspheming, but in public he showed you as very pious. The traitor blasphemed the cross kept always on him by Emperor Akihito with biggest love as a gift from his killed friends, and being the traitor godfather, godson of Putin, to issue in public as being faithful, killing hidden Empress Michiko, killing and witness to that, and very many Japanese young awkwards and killed through deceptions her sister Fumiko, and after attacking with swords, crushed by the airplanes and Aiko and the priest Towa, trying after to use his image for provoking China to attack Japan. The Chinese called him our little dog. And now, since the traitor Sota Higurashi deceived you, he destroyed Japan as state, undermining totally its national safety, economy, and democratic rights of the citizens, plundering the public resources of Japan, including through stage of fake groups and aliens composed by humanoid robots and impersonators instead the dead leaders who have no theoretical capacities. You were led until not long time by a robot, imagine as Fumio Kishida dead by a year. As in South Korea, the priest Noh is killed since 10 years and they manipulate to him. As a doctor in law who teach at universities, including constitutional law, administrative law, and general theory of state and law, I insist a dead man has no juridical abilities anymore. Doesn't matter even if the death is kept secret or not. So the impersonator, the humanoid robots with the face of dead ones, who said they are alive, commanded by the evil occult group, are only thieves, only deceivers, only usurpers of official qualities who fool you, steal your public money and resource of properties, and take through deceptions decisions against you, against the country, against mankind, exposing it to be wanted by them, thrown in the Third Global War, targeted to be started through the destructions of Japan and North Korea, thrown in war and annexed, and in the present situation, although North Korea is commanded totally by the evil occult group through humanoid robots fooling the people that pretending the dead leaders are alive, I say Japan is in a worse situation because they destroyed the constitution and left the country without national identity, throwing it under a despot's arbitrarily leadership masked in the robots with the robots in North Korea, but in Japan without any democratic form or fixed rights of the citizens, as Montesquieu said. None of the even absolute monarchies could do that, ruling all the monarchies after fixed laws. But in the hand of a single man and without the democratic rights guaranteed and without the national identity as state and defense set up in constitution, with a country ruled arbitrarily and discretionary, Japan is lost totally at stake if you don't act, even if for a short time, as it was with the general samurai Nori, they understood that for the country and for themselves it's obvious, mandatory to have and to be ruled according to a constitution, such ones being not traitors, but they are quickly killed and replaced again with traitors who do their work to destroy and annex Japan totally and to take after the constitution of the annexor, initially Russia, now China. Doesn't matter what country is the annexor because all the country led by the evil local group who wants the destruction of Japan are led by pawns of the evil local group, deceiving, hidden, or abused on face. And if somehow a general samurai with such despotic system was set up and created by them through their work, the whole conditions to be annexed in Japan and the despotism as Sata Higurashi did, and it was necessary only the diversion of the war to fulfill it without constitution and without national identity. If somehow a general samurai reached that function being in good faith, he may be quickly killed by the traitors, as so many was already killed, and his despotic function created in that purpose, even if he was in good faith, but the next one was not. And the reason for which Sota Higurashi created that is exactly to lose the lust of the man. The function will be taken immediately by a traitor, not out of love for the country, but out of love for power and out of wish for making only the will of the evil local group he belongs and for which he betrayed the country, as so many until now did. So I recommend you what Montesquieu said, take into account that even an absolute monarchy, even more a constitutional one, rule only through fixed law and only a despotism rule arbitrarily, discretionary, and without law on a single one's own will, occur that now Japan reached such a disaster who undermined totally the freedom, the identity as state, and the democratic traditions of the country. I recommend you, according to the blessing, only I in the world had that blessing, of both Empress Michiko and also Emperor Akihito, according to her last wish to defend Japan, and her last word was about me. I think I am able to recommend you, don't let Japan destroy through despotism. Don't let Japan to be annexed. Don't let Japan on the hand of a single man. Discretionary. Even if it happens to be in a moment one in good faith, the good faith ones may be killed by the evil local group, and in the second to take the functions of traitor and in the immediately next second Japan to be annexed. And don't let Japan without any national identity in despotism to be annexed without a constitution, to be obliged through annexions to take the constitution of the country annexor. Even an abusive emperor, even an absolutely monarch was ruled about constitution. Even the constitution illegally changed and hidden changed by the gang of traitors, but there was a constitution, and that's why until now Japan could not disappear. But step by step, after Sota Higurashi did the putsch, he being a symbol of destroying the state through betrayal and cunning deceptions, any mob, you see already, engaged Japan as country in dirty things. Any mob speaking the name of Japan, any mob may plunder its public resources, as example, through robots, as it was with Kishida, for fake aliens against nature, with impersonator, with humanoid robots instead did leaders without any juridical abilities, deceiving practically only for their gang, including with pretext of delayed wars between them, calculated on purpose for plundering resources, and that's why the Japanese citizens are impoverished and some of them even live in needs and are blackmailed by mob with their basic rights not guaranteed through constitution and not respected like that. Pawns of the evil local group who do that are only deceivers who steal your public wealth, don't allow them anymore, and neither their fake aliens, not able even to represent the country they claim they represent, their leader being dead and without juridical abilities. Resoluto iure dantis, resolvitur ius accipientis. Nemo plesiuris, ad alium transfere potest, quod nipse habet. And, quod nullum est, ab initio nullum producit effectum. So they cannot oblige you to give them public resources for their deception, being without juridical abilities, null through that. You was led even by a robot with the peace of Kishida as Prime Minister, killed since a year by the group who used him before. With whom to negotiate in such fake alliance? With whom to ally? With dead ones, with humanoid robots, and with impersonator who deceived firstly their own countries, and they plundered until now the public resources of Japan and many countries of the world, but I am charged to speak about Japan, and my conscience also obliged me to respect the last wish of Empress Michiko. So, that's why many people without self-respect or weak made compromises with the mafia of the evil local group exactly because their basic rights and their democratic rights were stolen by the dirty traitor deceiver actions of Sota Higurashi, who made disappear the supreme guarantee of their rights, the Constitution. Gandhi said, Mahatma Gandhi, no one can take your dignity unless you did not give to them. Because the Constitution of Japan, even abusively violated, still had kept a part of traditional democratic rights of the citizens and of their basic rights, and even after I made the draft to repeal the abusive traitorous changes, and Empress Michiko went with that draft in the diet then, and was wounded by swords, by ones elected by you being deceived by such cunning monstrous traitors. Big beware, and now who do you elect? And that's why so many cowards or greedy people made compromises with the mafia of the Iburuku group, but also there are poor people manipulated with their basic rights. As I said in other conference, I repeat, the General Carlo Alberto Dalla Chiesa showed that the most part of the privilege of the mafia, certainly paid by the citizens, there are nothing but their basic rights of the citizens. To ensure the basic rights of the people, to stop that power of the mafia, to make from the dependence of the mafia our allies, said him. But I add, it's necessary not only to ensure shortly in the moment of elections or other, to fool the people while hidden they are taking decisions against the country, and the past was done and such things was done, and hidden your rights were abusively destroyed and changed without you to know. But although it is necessary to be guaranteed through Constitution the basic rights and the democratic millenary rights of the people of Japan, to be guaranteed through the fundamental law, the Constitution, a symbol of our national identity of a state. And the attribution of the samurai through a constitution must be increased exactly through that constitution, and not in despotical purpose, but exactly for defending the national identity of the state, and also to defend Japan as state, and to defend also its laws, and exactly to defend the basic rights and the democratic rights of the citizens, including against hidden violation of them. And even to have the samurai attribution to defend the democracy in Japan, the freedom of Japan, to defend Japan as state and its integrity, and also to stop the cunning war provokes, to not make through Japan the whole country, and also the whole world a huge senator who such war provoked. My wish is to help you to keep the existence of Japan as state and to stop already all was punctilious calculated by the evil local group with the help of local traitor to stop the annexing already prepared for Japan by the evil local group by throwing the country in war. If you understand the huge danger and act firmly and with sincere public participation in saving the country and the democracy and even the existence of Japan as state, today there will be still a chance for the country. I hope and I pray my work not to be in vain, neither to that of my late husband, the military, pursued by Russia's mob with army to force him to let Japan, a fake G7, to make Japan to disappear from the map, to be not in vain, to learn from it and to act. I wish to be understood exactly and to not be all of you prey of the deceivers, prey of the traitors who want the country disappeared from the map and thrown in war under such a despotism and a military dictatorship for taking, if survivor, as constitution, the one of the, in that case, Chinese state or the state who will annex it. Because the first and most important and dangerous step in destroying Japan as state was made already through a cunning, a huge deception was already made through that putsch of the traitor, cunning, deceiver, actor Sota Higurashi working totally for Russia. And now, after Russia wasn't able anymore to use my late husband for actively forcing directly to disappear Japan by attacking it, passed the baton to China, and the huge betrayal done by Sota Higurashi was amplified by the other general samurai traitors, partakers with him in killing the general samurai who organized good the elections, loving the country and acting for defending Japan as state and the democracy. And now today was created the situation to be all the previous elections, and also my work in vain if you don't act firmly, because traitors wanted to fool you again. Sota Higurashi, by deceiving you all, made a huge theater, preparing by creating all the conditions to be thrown Japan in the enemy's hands with the help of religious manipulation and also of South Korean mobsters to be thrown in the hand of Russian pawns of the evil group wanting to be totally annexed and asserted by the godfather of your traitor former emperor, that godfather of him being, as you know, Putin directly. And now the Russian mob passed the baton to China to annex Japan, already prepared, having the condition created by same traitors to the samurai to be annexed, destroying the country under despotism in order to be left without any national identity as state. because a country called free, even those considered with dictatorship, had constitution, even North Korea had. And a state form, a country may be either a constitutional monarchy or a republic, also with constitution if a state is free. But those dirty traitors sold Japan and thrown to trash your fundamental traditional democratic rights by fooling you with some decors with samurai clothes on the street to be prepared to be rolled under the constitution of the occupiers, wanted by Sultan Higurashi to be Russia and now China in the condition today. I worked hardly to repeal the illegally change of the constitution, but the traitor destroyed totally the constitution now, undermining totally the existence of Japan as democratic and free state and even as state. If you understand, is obvious, is necessary for a free state to have constitution, including the communist states had constitution and Japan was thrown under despotism for being plundered, destroyed and annexed under a military dictatorship created by deceiving on purpose to create the condition for Japan to be annexed and obliged to submit, being annexed to the constitution and law, to occupiers, to annexers, and starting the world war like that. Mahatma Gandhi said that no one can ride on the back of a man unless it is bent, and that silence becomes cowardice when occasion demands speaking out the whole truth and acting accordingly. So it must act firmly with public participation and urgently, because otherwise, remember what Kant said, don't cry because they crushed you if you become yourself a worm. So please, for the memory of Empress Michiko and for her last wish for your beautiful history and tradition, defend Japan as state and don't allow them to make it disappear. Don't give up your freedom and your democratic rights. Fight for them, for your children, for your grandchildren, to let them a country, not an identity of as number of slave to the enemies of a country disappear for the map. I repeat, for the last wish of the Emperor Michiko and for all the evil done against the country by the evil group, I hope at last my military husband did not die in vain. Through his death, you occurred the truth. You found out the truth. It was revealed. And now you know what was behind and what to do before to be too late for doing something for Japan. I still believe that Japan wasn't died to with Empress Michiko. But mind you, don't allow to be fooled, don't trust again in traitors. Check and search well their hidden deeds before to elect a candidate, because the occult group brats the lie. The lie and the deceptions are the reason to survive, to exist of such cunning ones. So check well whom do you elect, and don't allow to be fooled again. A country without constitution is a country without national identity, prepared to be quickly annexed by its enemies. A people without constitution is a people without rights, without guaranteed rights, is a people which is at the hand, at the arbitrarily actions of a traitor or other, either appointed temporary as general samurai, working deceiver as Sota Higurashi did for the enemies of the country, and as many others were like Sota Higurashi. Disgusting is I was informed about him by a good friend of Kirill, a religious mob. So about the victory against Japan, sure that I can do nothing anymore, saying that Russia destroyed Japan and they managed to do that through Sota Higurashi. They are mad. I heard, not yet. A people without democratic rights, clearly inscribed in its own constitution and respected those rights guarantees there, the constitution being not able to be changed so easy, but only with referendum, accepted by the people, the changes, and to be made for that a special session of the Diet for that, and a special proceeding, constitutional proceedings. Only like that, the human rights, the democratic rights for the people, and even the basic rights of the people are guaranteed. Otherwise, any mob, any traitor is able to let you without any democratic rights, and or to violate your rights, remaining only in your mind or on a paper, because through the mob traitor actions they are deleted as through a click on a device. As Mikhail Minescu said, a country that, through the application of its institutions, encourage the ignorance, inconsistency, lack of character, even decorates them, prove that it is incomplete decay. But Mikhail Minescu said that, as example about his country, as his time when he was alive, and there then, not now, I mean when he was alive, things had been not so bad to be the country totally destroyed and totally in the hands of the evil occult group. Because he is known public through some poetry which was spread, but his publicistic activity to defend his country as are almost unknown. he was considered for that insane. He was interned forcibly through stages and killed in 1889 by a mob exactly working for a country led by evil-looking group who wants to destroy those mob and those continuers today in Japan. I mean the disciples of the Ram. So the same kind of mobsters, but today acting more pathetic and more performant, technological, as disciples of the Ram and servants of evil spirits from the synagogue of Satan. Since the antiquity, they were mentioned in Revelation 2:9 in the Bible. But in the case of Japan, the situation is worse than said Eminescu in the 19th century about other countries, because even North Korea still is in a situation more defined as a country than Japan. Sota Higurashi managed, as the friend of Kirill, praised himself for making my struggle in vain to protect Japan. They managed to deceive all of you without even to know that they destroyed totally your constitution by letting Japan without national identity and prepared to be annexed, the next step planned being to be laid under the constitution of occupiers, Japan having no more constitution because of the traitor theater of Sota Higurashi. It was necessary to die a man in my family, to die my husband, the military, pursued and chased by the Russian, in order to be tricked again and command like that to destroy Japan without result. And exactly the Russian army pursued him and his airplane was hijacked in Russia. But through that you found out the truth. Through his death. You, the Japanese people, found out the truth, and now you know the emergency, the imperious necessity to act urgently for stopping the evil-looking group prepared for the total destruction of Japan. Firstly, by Putin and Kirill, the godfather of your former leader, and his friends' religious mobs, who baptized him to destroy Japan, and after, step by step, through all the traitors, including the biggest dirty hidden actor who attacked, Sota Higurashi, who deceived you as another actor, Zelensky, deceived the Ukraine people of the elections, being in deal with Putin with that calculated war in Ukraine. But Sota Higurashi did worse than that, because Ukraine is still not totally destroyed, only used and plundered by the evil-looking group for house, even if people die there, and for plundering the resources of the country, of the world through its pretext. But in the case of Japan, they want not as in Ukraine. They are in deal. They want to disappear it totally and next on the map. And already undermined its national identity. Japan is now wanted and a situation they wanted to be totally destroyed in a much worse situation that is Hong Kong for China. And only through the death of my husband was revealed to all the truth, because he was deceived by the traitor actor and by the traitor after him. And also now I was able, showing you that, to say you the truth. I struggled to explain you for years, and even more after Empress Michiko was killed. But until now I spoke in vain, and realized that when I was married with your traitor emperor, who killed Empress Michiko and so many others, and tried to kill and his only one granddaughter, baby Mena. So when I was the wife of the traitor emperor, I was in impossibility to tell you the truth, being totally undermined. But the traitor tried to made a humanoid robot with my face and tried to use it for manipulating you, for speaking betrayal to help him in my name. But I destroyed it. So, as his wife, I couldn't say the truth. And after, he couldn't make again robots when I was remarried, because I was no more his wife. But I lost my husband, destroyed by them, by him and by his gang, and only after that, the truth about that was occurred. Because he, my husband, didn't want the real one without troops to destroy neither Japan, nor North Korea, nor the world, and in no case to make evil to me, but yes, the evil local group. And exactly for that, they destroyed him. And through his death, at last you may occur now the dangerous situation in which the deceivers and cunning traitors fooling you drove Japan to self-destructions and to disappear and exit from the map, even more prone in war. At the throne and in many other official places of Japan are existing as proof the threatening and calculus of your former traitor emperor, and also message sent with that, showing himself how sure of victory, how he wanted Japan thrown in war, and how he wanted Japan asserted totally to the disciples of the Ram. But he didn't manage. But only after dying, killed off his gang many patriots, generals, samurais in Japan, and after dying and my husband chased with Russian army, pursued as a dog to be caught again, kidnapped and shipped again. Only like that you are able to find the truth. And now you have to act quickly. I recommend you that for your good until it's not too late for preserving the existence of Japan as state, because the evil occult group proves so many local traitors, especially since Emperor Akihito resigned, blackmailed by the evil local group with the insemination of the former leader, to let the place for him, and even more after Empress Michiko, the last empress who was the symbol of loving Japan, of dignity, heroism, honesty, honor, and faith. After she was killed, the disease of betrayal, as Aeschylus said, spread even more in a huge manner in Japan, and was more contagious, acting only for the evil occult group and in the benefit especially of its dirty pawn of Russia, China, Vietnam, South Korea, but using also North Korea, now totally controlled by the evil occult group after the death of Kim Jong-un and of his traitorous sister Kim Yo-jong, good friend with the traitorous cunning Pharisee Mako, both those traitorous woman friends, Mako and Kim Yo-jong, working together for the disciples of the Ram and against their own countries and both against Japan. But even before to resign the Emperor Akihito, the destructions of the identity of the state begins with the huge betrayal done step by step through illegally hiding change in the constitution since 1986, without people to know, through Masakito Yamato and his traitorous wife who helped him. Through their traitorous hiding activity against Japan and especially for Russia and China, and it's obvious that if you know for sure that the evil local group which want to destroy totally Japan, and that's why they pull you through that traitor actors that are Higurashi who sold Japan to disappear after being a servant, and they wanted by Russia military dictatorship to be prepared for taking without identity to the Russian constitution and laws. So, knowing that they work for sure with evil spirits and even kill children and adults, worshipping the evil spirits with human sacrifices or fighting against them, it is good to ask a divine help, or at last to be deceived, firmly and sincere, to stop totally the evil against Japan, and through it to help somehow, if possible, the whole mankind endangered and targeted to be thrown through Japan and North Korea in the Third Global War, and with the performant and huge nuclear arsenal, including with the nuclear discharge being sent already near Japan by the pawns of evil occult group from United States, asked by their colleagues traitor moves from South Korea's leadership, pawns of the same evil local group, the whole world may become a huge cenotaph where no one to be able to write again. Let our souls here rest in peace, for we shall not repeat the evil. They undermined the national defense of Japan step by step and hidden since then, and created through their perfidious, cunning, hidden activity the condition for spreading the betrayal in all the state institutions of Japan and among all the officials, changing in secret some stipulation of the Constitution concerning the people's democratic rights, and finally destroying totally the Constitution, undermining totally the national safety and defense, and also the democratic rights of the citizens remain without any guarantee and without any change to be able to dismiss and to defend themselves against the corrupted officials and against the traitors, and even concerning the rate of the samurai and attributions in preserving the national defense of Japan, affecting such a military despotism, even the samurai. Emperor Akihito, in good faith concerning that, but fooled by Masakito, although warned by me, although he was resigned under blackmail of the evil local group, I warned him about the danger in which is the Constitution since then, saying that the cunning who was my husband didn't react. I warned him as emeritus about the dangerous situation made for Japan through such illegally change of the Constitution, and about the fact that your former leader, then in charge, and my former husband don't react, postponing cunning over, and acquiring more and more betrayal deeds, including attacks against the Empress Michiko and against Aiko, done by traitors infiltrated by as officials in Diet and Cabinet, then working for Russia, China, and Vietnam, and by traitors, samurai infiltrated among the ones who should defend the country. And that was especially after the general samurai Amida Maru was killed. Exactly in Romania was killed, as many others, and exactly by the traitorous gang working for the evil local group, the friends of your former emperor. Hearing my warning, the emeritus Akihito occurred the danger from Japan and asked me then to speak with Masakito, explaining me about the fact that he trusted him in all concerning the Constitution and didn't knew the proceeding, being not lawyer. And also, knowing I am doctor in law and I teach also
constitutional, administrative law, and general theory of state and law in universities. Emperor Akihito asked me because he loved and blessed me as his daughter, including in the marriage, although he was blackmailed by the evil occult group not to do it. He asked me to help him with the constitution and to speak about that end with Masakito and to start the repeal of the illegally changes, making myself adapt for the new, for the diet. And I did what he asked me, but speaking with Masakito, I occurred the betrayal and I showed him in face that, as for only offense without any argument. And while that Empress Michiko surprised him live, speaking in free with your former traitor leader and with Xi Jinping, how to stop me in that actions that could save Japan as state. Finding after that trips to your former emperor, the Emperor Michiko, Emperor Akihito, and all of us thought that he did betrayal because of trips. Only the Emperor Akihito had doubts, and even he make being angry a stroke, through which he was saved through a miracle by God, and also with the treatment given exactly by me, through good faith samurai knowing to put infusions to him, because the doctors refused to treat him, telling he is already dead. And I asked the samurai what to put in infusion as former forensic, and the doctor refused totally to treat him, being corrupted by your former emperor with all the occult group on his part. And all the doctors there listened by him and tried to declare since then the Emperor Akihito dead, but he was only in coma. And I, as doctor-in-law, including with forensic specialty, stand against and forbade to my former traitor husband to declare then Emperor Akihito dead until I personally will declare his death when it will be. But in that moment, he wasn't dead, and he still wanted to fight to protect Japan, although blackmailed by mob with the insemination of all the brothers so-called of your former leader, being enemies of Japan and promised by the discipline of the ram to able spirits. But Empress Michiko was clean, honest, patriot, and a hero. And I try, however, to understand what pain was in the soul of the Emperor Akihito when he occurred the consequence of a deal for that insemination with disastrous effects for Japan. I think that's why he insisted so much to ask me to fight, to marry the traitor, and to help him in that right. Only he was suspicious in that moment when he found chips to my former husband and your leader, because the Emperor Akihito knew then about the blackmail and also about the insemination. I didn't know then. And occurred that chips are put by himself on purpose, being promised himself to the evil spirits, and I didn't know that. So, to come back to what I focused your attention before, Empress Michiko's surprised live Masakito doing betrayal after I had a contradictory discussion with him and asked to be repealed the abusive changes made by Constitution without people to know. And as ever, I received only offenses, not an argument. But I must be happy if a traitor like that offends me, because there are many among traitors such cunning trying to praise me. And I do want to fulfill the last wish of Empress Michiko, because her last word was about me. Otherwise, my conscience will not give me peace, and neither the wish of my killed confessor friends of them, Father Tova, who was true, won't give me back peace. And I quote again Gandhi, the only tyrant I accept in my life is the still small voice within me. For as Giovanni Falcone said, the fact that things are like this does not mean that they have to go like this, but only that when it comes to rolling up our sleeves and starting to change, there is a price to pay. And then the vast majority prefer to complain than to do it. But now, if you won't act now, it will be too late for the existence of Japan if you don't show now and ever firmly you desire to be free, to be a democratic country, as your old tradition were in history. If you don't show your firmly wish to keep Japan instead, and its national identity, its millenary democratic traditions, and to remember, including the beautiful national Shinto tradition of the Japanese garden, with desire of peace and respect and harmony for everyone, a tradition that is in perfectly harmony with all the other real religions existing in Japan, and I assure you that only to devilish sects or the antichristic sects called Christian but acting against Lord Christ, deceiver sects having at origin South Korea and other countries promoted in Japan through traitors, and I show you as example between the relation between who supported the sect of Tanaka, which they did, for which country they manipulate against Japan, and how wanted in cooperation with that sect his relative samurai by allowing unpurposed disseminated brother of the traitor leader to enter in the office of Emperor Akihito and to claim war in 8 states from his computer and in the name of Japan, a state pretending it was the Emperor Akihito, to 8 states with warrior conceptions. So I hope you understand. If you don't act now, if you are deceived again, if you don't act firmly but with the eyes large open, and with prayers for the believers in all religions, prayers for light and for Japan, you will remain without Japan's state. Otherwise, you will remain without its glorious traditions. And don't forget, the Japanese wisdom says, better to die than to live in shame, and better to be a crystal and to be broken than to be a tile on a housetop. To be more shortly, I put together the issues with the deception made by the evil group, calculated with the war created in deal by Zelensky and Putin. Since years calculated, both of them, I mean the real ones, not only the substitutes being pawns of the same evil group who sacrificed their own countries only to increase their wealth and to control totally the whole world as they wanted with the whole evil group. Because yes, to be a lesson at the elections, as Japan was fooled to have the actor Sota Higurashi who say sold the country through a theater, cunning theater, making to prepare the annexing of Japan by Russia through a state cup, or setting until annexion to despotism and arbitrarily leadership. In the same cunning mode, the Ukrainians elected a cunning actor, born of the evil group who deals that war with Putin, the real one, for plundering public and private resources of the country, including of Japan with the pretext of Ukraine, for stealing the wealth of refugees, for making chaos everywhere at borders in the world, to be able to enter anyone, everywhere, and with everything on him, in any country included as refugee, and also to help their colleague from the group with weapon business. But the people who elected them and believed his bloody theater, I mean, about both of them, but now I speak about Zelensky, and many people of Russia believe too. And like that, people die daily and fight for real, while their rulers, members of the same evil group and being in deal, encourage those crimes, encourage that war, and count, hide the money, get rid like that through deceptions, through killing in such war innocent people, and they still encourage that bloody theater. So the ones who give money to the evil local group pretexting the Ukraine-Del war by leaders are accomplices to be continued that those daily crimes by encouraging and even helping that huge crime that calculated dealed by leaders war instead to stop it. But quick protest by encouraging that war, huge sums of money are diverted with the pretext of that calculated war from the public wealth of the country and are stolen by the evil local group. So only the evil local group take hidden advantage by fooling all and by encouraging that war, and that's why they want to support and to encourage that war instead to be stopped. They want to go on. And that last diversion made for fooling the people with the group of perpetrators of penal deeds Wagner sent directly from prison. I told you in previous conference, any criminologist know and is able to show that Cesare Beccaria warned in De Delitia delle Pene that the restricted people are more cruel than the free ones, so it's a huge crimes against all. So although now with that new diversion, again I repeat, any criminologist can show that like that are endangered and amplified through those diversion, are endangered and the Ukrainian common people and the Russian people and the perpetrators themselves. The Ukrainians are endangered with the cruel ones, and against them the cruel deeds of the ones encouraged instead to make re-education for the crime already done, to do many other crimes against them, increasing their social danger and diverting the public role of prevention of the punishment in the penal law. The Russian people who received, if survivor, with such social reinsertion without re-education, some perpetrators after war with social danger increased than their initially for which they were arrested, and without any re-education are endangered too, and finally are endangered in the perpetrators themselves, who many of them already died in war, being like that condemned to death, although they were condemned initially to prison for their deaths. Nullum crimen sine lege, nulla pena sine lege, non bis in idem, where they were condemned twice for their penal deeds, even to death. And the second time worse, and for the few survivor returned and society, there was and another punishment, being remained without their basic right to have after and through education, a future normal life in society, and a social peaceful reinsertion. And all those diversions with rebellious or attacking to Kremlin were only manipulation to not see the dirty deeds behind and how they steal huge sums of money pretexting that war and other country give another sums of money with the pretext of that war and other the dirty hidden deeds of the evil local group, including the preparation step by step of starting the Third World War and the destructions by throwing Japan, already plundered and targeted, being prepared to despotism to be annexed in that third global war, so pathetic wanted by them, for the so-called new global order in which the evil local group to rule under total control all the survivors, if any remained through the global war, to rule them as numbers without any national identity, as robots, as slaves, under the total dictatorship. Carlo Alberto della Chiesa said, I repeat, the mafia manipulate the people exactly through their basic rights. If the government ensure to the people their basic rights, the privilege and the blackmails of the mob may be stopped, may make many people's dependence and blackmailed by the mafia to be alias of the honest and of the state when the leadership is honest. But there are also many greedy people involved in the mafia for arms and without to be for real in needs, and with many such funds are the mafia of beggars, including devilish bastards who lead them, which collect funds for deceiving like that the people for the evil occult group's business. Don't allow any more to be plundered by the evil occult group, nature through robots and fake aliens against nature and traitors who plunder your public money, the public wealth of the country working against Japan to be annexed and disappear as state, as Sota Higurashi struggled cunning to do, being actor as Zelensky and cunning as him, who dealt, both of them dealt with Putin to make those dirty traitorous deeds, to deceive all the world, and in the case of Zelensky, making through that Ukraine a bloody theater encouraged by the evil local group for plundering all the country with that pretext. That, and as well the Japanese traitor actor working too for Russia, plundered Japan and struggled to make it disappear on the map in setting up the despotism and for annexing Japan according to Russia's will from whom he worked against Japan to follow the way of Grigore. And after I say already, after my military husband died, pursued by Russian mob, kidnapped him and took his son again, chips and intelligent blood, to throw Japan in war using a fake G7, ally with Arabut of Kishida, who already deceived you. The plan was fooled. To notice that he had no official quality for that, but they want to deceive. He had in Japan no official quality, and think a little, North Korea was no member neither of the real G7 and not of the such fake aliens with humanoid robots and impersonators. Its former members of that group being ruled by robots are impersonator usurping official qualities, the legitimacy of the leaders being totally zero. A dead one has no juridical ability, and they deceive firstly the country they claim they represent. Even more, the dead ones are not able to make aliens, deceiving aliens with country not represented. And when they realize they cannot make the wish of the conqueror of your traitor, former emperor and my former husband, wanting to assault totally Japan to Russia, and they destroyed already the constitution for it of the Sing after the one of Russia, being not able to finish their plan, they changed the strategy and changed the plan for passing the baton, as I said, to China. Let's start now our attention with short comments to other point of the evangelical group, the hero of the day, and some Pharisees. Publius Cyrus said, when he pretends to be good, the man is in the height of his wickedness. It's totally disgusting how such corrupted ones, some of them taking public monies in different countries as salaries for it, pretend they are interested by the good and the protection of the babies, of the children, and by the instead to help for real the children who are many which are in really need and need help, even in such war, huge number of children are kidnapped, deported, killed in the calculated war about I said before. And no one reacts concretely, only statements. So, instead to react like that and to take care of the children really in needs and even in the case of abandoned children, to search to have a family who love them, not to allow them to be stolen from hospitals and killed. Such officials, corrupted by the evil local group, try to stole with legal appearance children staged to be in needs as baby manna, while in reality all they want is to kill such children. And in the case of abandoned children, instead to search the parents who abandoned there in hospitals, who are without parents, without family, instead to search a family for them, they allow such ones to be kidnapped in hospitals and to be killed either as human sacrifice or for organs. And they could help the parents who abandoned children in the hospitals to grow up, the children guiding and supporting them, but they allow to be stolen such babies step by step from hospitals and from other places, including the ones with parents, from public places, either with mob kidnapped accomplicities or with corrupted officials pretending they are preoccupied by a trial staged to be in danger, although there is no danger. But in the case of baby manna, they tried, since it her birth, not only to kill it and before birth and in the hospital, but corrupted officials tried to not register Manna's births, asked by your traitor former leader who was her grandfather and she was his only granddaughter. Like that, such corrupted officials give already registered and kidnapped with legal appearance or not babies in the situation of her, either sold for organs or sold to be sacrificed to the evil spirits by the evil local group and by their gang of disciples of the ram and sorcerer, and they delete the sacrificed children through a click from the digital evidence as never existing. In the case of the babies, initially they try to not register there, and short time after they try again to delete even alive as he is, and now, despite the mob's wish, from the evidence, disgusting their modus operandi. And in the case of existing parents of such babies, they claim in vain and are undertaken by such corrupted their parents' rights through stages for being kidnapped the children at command of the evil group, and like that no way to claim or rather they are considered insane because as they try and with baby Mena and with any other children, the child is now registered. In the case of our baby, they didn't manage, but they tried. Disgusting. Either at the beginning or after killing such children, they are deleted from the digital evidence through a click as never existing. And if someone tries to claim, they say such one is mad, claiming for a never existing child. So watch your children. But such ones, many of them, infiltrated by the evil occult group, take public money as salaries for helping children, for helping their family, and in fact, they work hidden against the children and for the evil occult group who infiltrated them in such institutions and take money through corruption and from them and act contrary in the job they are paid by public money. I make a public appeal for all the high officials in decisional positions to check if they want, including their children, to be safe, to not be attacked by the evil occult group, to check will the functionary having in charge and paid by public money or helping, not for killing the children, and some deceptor organizations so-called for saving the children who were pretending to help the official but whose purpose hidden is in reality not for helping the children but for give organs and living material for human sacrifice to evil spirits or the evil occult group who infiltrated pawns through such organizations, gathering huge sums of money like that, and plundering through deceptions and public money from taxpayers, giving by public institutions, helped in partnership with such organizations. I give you as example the baby. Not only that week it was attacked to be stolen by mob, including on Full Street, trying to kidnap her, but also the evil group tried to steal it officially through some corrupted official and so-called organization of protection of the child who worked for the evil local group as infiltrated pawns who tried to make stage to kidnap children like that for human sacrifice and for organs as awkward for them for stealing for different reasons, all mob reasons. But as example, baby Mena being the only granddaughter of your traitor former leader, I, at his own request, tried to not be registered her birth, and after they tried to delete the registering of her birth exactly for being kidnapped and killed. And I let you to ask yourself and to answer yourself who and why allow to be hired in such institution and organization so-called for protections of the children, persons who act against the children. Instead, they let other children who are invisible sufferers in really needs and really need help, not helped, on the street and in poor villages and other one trafficked, used to begging or sold for organs and human sacrifice, and they are let the mob who use them not disturb it. I will tell you a story, a real story, with Father Vasile Roncanu, the friend of Emperor Akihito and Empress Michiko. A story, real story, which is very valid today in any country because the evil local group have the same modus operandi as then, even worse now than before the pressed friend of the emperors Akihito and Michiko to be killed. So, look, when my daughter, the mother of baby Mena, was herself a baby, being a year and a half, I was then with her as baby in Bucharest, and in a moment going on the central street in the full center at Bucharest near kilometer 0, more exactly near the university, for who knows the zone, I saw such a beggar woman with destroyed clothes, dirty, with a baby hold in a broken carriage, for babies, the carriage being almost destroyed. I was impressed, and I gave to her the box of milk of my daughter and some clothes of her. But behind me, without eye to see him, was Father Vasile Roncanu. And after that, he rebuked me and said, "Mind you, never to do any more something like that. The beggars today and here are not like in the Bible. Now the beggars are mafia, and if you give to them, you encourage them, and even the sufferance of the babies used for begging by them, you are encouraging them. Mind you, God doesn't want us to help ones more rich than ourselves. God wants us to help the real poor more poor than us. And the real poor has dignity today, and don't ask, don't beg. If you want to help a real poor, search to find yourself such one everywhere in a poor village or country. They don't beg. Or if you have a good paid confessor whom you trust, he knows he was my confessor. You can ask him because he entered for religious services in various places and may know poor people and may occur her one or other lives, not for the ones agreed by the mafia who are begging on the street or even in the churches, in more churches, because those ones collect funds for the mafia. And many corrupted officials or clergymen protect them and let them to use even children for that. Never encourage that, say the priest. I was surprised. I didn't occur that until then. I was very young, and I looked at the priest a little suspicious, although I loved him and I was his disciple. But he loved me too as his spiritual daughter, and I was his close disciple, and he understood my suspicion. Then the best friend of Emperor Akihito and Emperor Michiko said, "You don't believe me, isn't? Well, I will pray to Lord to show you if you don't trust me, and you will see God will give you light today, and you will see today yourself." And he left because he went going hurry to the church of Saint Nicholas, his protector, where he was priest. Then Empress Michiko wanted to have the same protector, choosing as Baptist name Nicoletta. I knew since then that Father Vasile Roncano suffered for God, and because of that, God loved him much and gave him, since he was alive, the gift to make miraculous things, including healings. And although I knew that if he asked something to God, because the divinity loved him, he was listened by God, by Most Holy Theotokos, and by the saints. And I remembered the words of Saint Apostle Jacob 5:16-18. Confess your faults one to another and pray one for another, that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availed much. Elijah was a man subject to like patience as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, and it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth brought forth her fruit. Finish the quote. But I wondered, how can God show me the truth in that question? In my doubt, because, as many others, being young or naive, I believed the appearance. In the same evening, I was, through not strange coincidence, I understood after it was not coincidence, not random, but the work of God. In the same zone where it was the beggar woman in destroyed dirty clothes with the baby in a broken carriage. But I was in a position where she couldn't see me. A car, Mercedes, came to take her with a luxurious clothes man who drove it, and she took out her clothes, dirty clothes, and remade in good ones with luxurious ones, and put the dirty broken carriage in poor baggage, taking the broken clothes, put over the baby, and they went. And I understood. But short time after that, I have again an hesitation at that, and without will, by believing again the appearance created perfectly by the ideological group. Since then, I defied again what the wise and sage priest said to me. And he, without seeing me, make light, asked God for light, even to give again me, to show me the truth. Being guided by the Holy Spirit, was helped by God to show me again, because I thought it's a different situation with another beggar. In a night, I was in the last metro subway at night, and I had in my bag some warm, fresh pancakes for my baby daughter. And there were few people in the subway, but a child, not over 3 years, in broken, dirty clothes, asking mercy to all. I was again impressed by the appearance. I took from my bag a pancake from the ones of my baby daughter and gave it to him, thinking he is hungry and poor. And the child, almost a baby, under 3 years, stand for begging in the subway, took the pancake, made a pitch in it, and threw it. He starts to insult me. All the people in the subway laughed on me, saying, "You deserve it, ma'am, if you help such ones." And then I remember again the father's work. And the little baby mom wanted money. I received the lesson given by God later. But the organization with the defense of the children of goals like that don't see such cases. And the corruption among the functionary infiltrated through institutions don't see the many existing like that, even more today. In those days, after so many times, after the priest Vasile was killed, but see the babies looking like baby men, I saw it, trying to steal it, either by attacks allowed by them or with legal appearance. Past months were many children effective sold on money to the disciple of the ram for human sacrifice, and although some of them are burned alive, and no one tried to stop the heroes from today. And whose official tried to stop? But there are corrupted who want to steal, very preoccupied by the granddaughter of your former leader, the baby Mena. That's why the dirty pawn of the evil Grigore, who was your emperor and killed Empress Michiko and wanted to kill and her, his own granddaughter, corrupted functionary like that to try to not register her birth. And now such corrupted protecting they care instead to care the baby beggars or the abandoned children to such family for them not to allow to be kidnapped and killed or trafficked and sold, struggle to steal baby Mena. So I ask public protection from any Japanese in good faith if she said attacks against the baby, because she is Japanese citizen as you, and the granddaughter of Empress Michiko, against any physical attacks and against such stage who try to continue after the killer of Empress Michiko tried protesting them to act with appearance of officiality, having no reason to involve, but trying instead stage to be sacrificed, although a huge number of children are really in needs and are led to be sold, to be sacrificed, to be used to begging, to be used in mob actions, and to be left in huge needs, and to be sold for organs or for human sacrifice by evil people. And they are not seen. And marvel not, the mafia of beggars are hand in hand with the corrupted officials and are financial for the evil-looking group to collect money for immobilier and this other business, or money washing them through luck games and bets, casinos and other business like that, and through many other such business to give appearance of legality for the money collected by the evil group through beggars and through sorcerers. Did you see in the same mode, in very visited churches, so-called poor with pious appearance, old woman and old man, begging or showing themselves as very big prayers in or near churches, near the most visited relics of the saints or miracle makers visited icons, some of them even diverting the worshippers to pray by their begging, and that they do that thinking that a believer who came to pray will consider if he give alms to them, his prayer will be better heard by God or by the saint who won't take out to pray. The priest and doctor in constitutional law, Nikolai Steinhardt, said nowhere and never did not ask Chris to be fooled. And his imprisoned with him collect of prison for the faith, the friend of Emperor Akihito and Michiko, Priest Vasila Roncano, say that God doesn't want us to help the mobsters. God wants us, if we are able to help the poor, not the cunning ones more rich than us. And also that, he said the real poor don't ask, and if such one tried to ask, although as usual he had dignity, but if he tried to ask, he is crushed by the mafia of beggars. And also he said that St. John Chrysostom said that the real poor who deserve to be helped, to deserve alms, have to be searched for being found, not to give, say the priest, not to give alms to ones more rich than us. So such ones are not seen by such corrupted protectors of children by the evil group, being their financer, but they see some like manna. When I was young, in my wish to do good things for the families, I was member founder of such an organization whose initial leadership was in very good faith and really wanted to help the children. But the leader died suddenly, and again suddenly. The organization diverted, hijacked, hidden its own purpose, and I resigned immediately, seeing that I warned them and they continue to deceive and not to keep the initially noble purpose of the organization in order not to be partaker at their dirty hidden deeds. And disgusting thing, I will speak now you and about the religious manipulation. There are devilish vessels in clothes of hierarchs of different religions who, as Saint Ignatius Branchaninov said, they serve Satan under the guise of a hypocritical service to God, and use their position to deceive the people and to make religious manipulation and hidden. They sacrifice babies with the sorcerer, with all the disciples of the ram, worshipping to evil spirits, but showing public as very pious and using their position exactly for helping. Means for taking, for killing hidden such babies and children without defense, but invoked, blaspheming and dirty the health and the child. And many people are fooled by them, and others who occur lose, many of them, their faith. For all the believers, all the religions, I recommend, don't lose your faith. The divinity loves his creation, and I speak about Japan. The divinity loves Japan, and if you pray sincere, in spirit and in truth, he won't let you pray to the evil spirits and to the wrath who want to destroy the country. I will remain, and also to mankind. I will remind you the words of Mahatma Gandhi. A man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. Silence becomes cowardice when occasion demands, speaking out the whole truth and acting accordingly. Let the first act of every morning to be make the following resolve for the day. I shall not fear anyone on earth. I shall fear only God. I shall not bear ill will toward anyone. I shall not submit to injustice from anyone. I shall conquer untruth by truth, and in resisting untruth, I shall put up with all suffering. Finish the quote. And also Mahatma Gandhi shared that quote again. When every hope is gone, when help has failed and comfort flee, I found that help arrived somehow from I know not where. Supplication, worship, prayer are no superstitions. They are acts more real than the acts of eating, drinking, sitting, or walking. It is not exaggeration to say that they alone are real, all else is unreal. Finish the quote. And also Gandhi, many people, especially ignorant people, want to punish you for speaking the truth, for being correct, for being you. Never apologize for being correct or for being years ahead of your time. If you're right and you know it, speak your mind. Speak your mind. Even if you are a minority of one, the truth is still the truth, and an error does not become truth by reason of multiplied propagation, nor does the truth become error because nobody will see it. And I remember that all through history, the way of truth and love has always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they seem invincible, but in the end they always fall. Think of it, always. Finish the quote. For the atheist, I recommend you to keep your honesty, your dignity, your honor, and to participate public with self-control to struggle up for democracy, truth and freedom, to the fight against the obsessed, paranoid patetics who wants to destroy Japan and also to destroy the whole world only for being able to keep under total control the whole world. The survivor, if any. And if you want, as atheist being, say it in your mind, as Saint Sylvan advised. God, if you exist, please show me the truth. Give me light. And if you give me light, I will follow your will in my life. And I again quote Gandhi. The future depends on what you do today. For the Christians, if you're asking my opinion, I recommend you to not lose your faith and to pray in spirit and in truth with much internal concentrations. The prayer you may know already, the short prayer of Jesus, so-called the prayer of the heart, which gives you light and self-control, the prayer of the Holy Cross and the prayer of entrusting to the Lord, and also you may use the prayer of Saint Isaac the Syrian for strengthen the believers. I already quoted you it in a previous conference. For the Pharisee and religious manipulation, for such ones who do that, I have a message. Never forget the word of Abraham Lincoln. You can fool all of the people some of the time, or some of the people all of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. Finish the quote. Gandhi said, the earth provide enough for everybody's need, but not for everyone's greed. The evil group, more clear to see exactly the friends of the former traitor emperor who saved me he had in the city at the Black Sea, a whole army obeying to him and without to be ended. And she went there when he prepared to kill in Bucharest Fumiko, the sister of Empress Michiko, and his army he said, is better said, a huge gang of traitors and also mob, Russian, Romanian, South Korean, Chinese, North Korean, Japanese traitors, living in huge unity, but the occult evil group spread the hatred among the common people, so that dirty gang, obeying by such a Pharisee baptized by Kirill and having as godfather Putin, wanted to steal that gang from worshipping God in it, in a big church having as protector Holy Paraskeva, already blasphemed by the traitor, and those things were before the blasphemy, when he did the crimes and celebrate with Putin. What I say now was before. That mob gang of the evil group wanted to steal from worshiping God, or the disciple of the Ram, that big church having as protectors also Saint John the Baptist, the most blasphemed among the saints by the Grigore group, and that targeted church with saint protectors, Saint John the Baptist and Holy Faustina, was near the center of Bucharest and was led by a friend of priest Vasile Roncanu, the priest John. And the priest Vasile was, as you know, the best friend of Emperor Akihito and Empress Michiko. Step by step, the religious mob disciples the ram, hidden, as in the other cases of friends of the priest Vasile, killed by the evil group, and the other about whom I spoke in the previous conference, in the same mode, took in that church under the pretext of a sponsor, disciple of the Ram, to repair the church imposed by the hierarch, being and the hierarch and the sponsor, disciple of the Ram. And they repaired the church and used that occasion to change the parish, obliging him to retire, and after, as in the case of priest, their friend Vasile and Alexander, and that prince of those priests, parish of that church, the priest John, was forced to retreat and watched by mob at every movement, including by blocking him to speak with his friends, even later at home, because the mob corrupted and members of his family. In the case of priest Vasile Roncanu, his wife was killed by traitors, including from his family. And at her death, she made and her a miracle. She called me to visit her at home in a Sunday. He left me a message, "Come here, all of you, to see something important." 3 days before, without me to know, he called me at her death, at her religious burial service, knowing already she will be killed and buried then. She knew without to say me she will be killed the next day, and she asked me to go to visit her, knowing she will be buried, prepared to be buried in that day. I went there, I was surprised, and her husband, the priest Vasile, the friend of emperors Akihito and Michiko, made for her, while I arrived, the religious service. And while that service, he said clear to his recently killed wife that, "Victoria, wait for me, I will come to you in 3 months." And exactly in 3 months, the priest Vasile was killed too by the same mob, poisoned with radioactive polonium, and traitors from his family forgot to tell public the real cause of his death and later what happened when he was dismissed as parish for taking the church, the disciple of the Ram, and when the priest, being operated at eye through anesthesia, was made to have tension 30 through anesthesia and stroke, and after he was poisoned. To come back, in the case of his friend, the priest John, after he was retired to take the friends of the group to church, he was well watched as him and his other friend, Father Alexander, obliged to be watched by the group at every street unfolded, and finally the two priests died in the same style in hospitals, through medical treatments, and involved being the same who killed Father Vasile, their friend, Father Tova, their friends, who was poisoned too, but not dying. Father Tova through treatment, he was crushed with the airplane, Father Tova, by the pawn of the evil occult group who was your former emperor, having as godfather Putin, baptized by Kirill, who was the enemy of all of them. And your former emperor has confessor, a Romanian disciple of the Ram, mob religious from Romania, where he did so many crimes with the blessing of his godfather and their friends. As pious he was, being hidden at the village vessel, and I didn't know he will become something like that. And I repeat to all of you, any religion, don't lose your faith seeing those things like that. Even the divinity warned us about such deceptions. The believer, any religions, I recommend again to ask God for light even for the elections. A saint, so-called universal saint who prayed for all the mankind, being Orthodox, Saint Silouan from Athos, said, quote, "We must always pray that the Lord will guide us what we must do, and the Lord will not let us go astray." Adam did not have the wisdom to ask the Lord about the fruit that Eve gave him, and for this he lost paradise. David, he didn't ask the Lord, "Is good to take Uriah's wife?" and he fell into the sin of murder and fornication. Finish the quote. But he repented. David, he repented. The ones born today defy David, defy Moses, but fool for using the real Jews and say, as in the Bible said, say they are Jews and are not being, but are the synagogue of Satan. And to the atheist, either to ask, as Saint Silouan said too, "God, if you exist, give me light, and I will serve you in my life." And if sincere, they will receive divine light, or to not be fooled, to analyze, to not accept to be manipulated, and to keep, by analyzing, their self-control. And all of you, don't forget the Japanese proverbs. Better to die than to live in shame. And if the fountain head is clear, the stream will be clear too. And do not drink from the fountain of thieves, even if your lips are thirsty. And I repeat, the best friend of Emperor Akihito and Empress Michiko, Father Vasile, when he made the religious service for his killed wife, said, to show you all that the ones who prayed, made, and alive miracles. He said, I repeat, Victoria, I will come to you in 3 months. And exactly in 3 months, he was killed by the religious gang of monks who didn't hear what he said. But some of the evil occult group who claim and fool the real Jews, they are Jews for using them to be helped by them in their mob actions and are known by when the Revelation was written as the synagogue of Satan doesn't want to repent or to change, but to serve the evil occult group against the mankind. A real Jew doesn't serve Satan. A real Jew loves God. And the good faith Jews are wise, love God, and are also moral, even high. But deceivers, Pharisees, rebuked by Isaiah, as example, Isaiah 1, by David, Psalm 11, 14, 106, 33, 38, and by Lord himself in Matthew 23 and John 8:44. Those all as the ones who betrayed their own country, flattering the invaders and blackmailing their local representatives, only to be able to make their own interest to crucify, in that case, Lord Christ. Yes, such ones today are in the evil occult group, serfs of the evil spirit, Pharisee, heroes of today, codify firstly David, the symbol of Jews, as a hero in many conferences. Other friends of them say, fooling the people, they are communists, but defy even the communist doctrine, defy Marx, defy Lenin, defy Mao Zedong. I show you that with quotes in a previous conference. If you want me to show it again, please let me know. For such proletarian bourgeoisie, said Lenin, that is worse than the capitalist one. And because of some from the evil occult group calling themselves liberals, the new Russian saint Sophrony Sergei Sakharov, former painter who left Russia because of some dictators like that, serving, to quote Mao Zedong, serving to a handful of people and to the imperialists as Khrushchev. Finish the quote. And their friends whose relatives are today on the evil occult group, I finished before the quote, that Russian wise recent saint died in 1993 out of Russia. He abandoned the theological studies started in French, saying he wanted to learn about God and other things the living God. He was disciple of Saint Sylvan I mentioned before, another Russian saint from Athos, who predicted those times, who asked not to lose your faith and prayed for all the heathen from all religion, being named a universal saint, asked by Lord to keep his mind in hell and to despair not. So, the priest Saint Sophrony Sakharov, his disciple, the former painter Sergei Sakharov, said about such liberalism promoted by mob that is worse than the communists. And he was right. It's enough to quote now and the man of science Andrei Sakharov, very respected by Emperor Akihito, who said that the mass meat in the hand of hypocrite and demagogue can be turned into bloody dictatorship, and the mass meat were promoted very active in the country, called themselves free, led by one in such liberalism. They created mass mix and spread scandals after scandals, diversion, using against the people biological, according to wish of evil local group, and meteorological weapons, deepfakes for deceiving and plundering the people, which they do mafia, while they do mafia without people to know, not disturbed, because the people are focused on diversion, and created disease as biological weapons in laboratory and spread also deepfakes and deceptions with calculated war for deceiving and gathering with that protect huge sums of money while innocent people die, keeping the attention with scandals, diversion, fake news, and appointing secret humanoid robots and impersonators instead dead leaders without any juridical abilities for that, but deceiving all, keeping the dead secret and using in their name their functions and committing theft of identity, deception, and usurping official quality that even the real leader, being dead, have no more. That is the strong delusion mentioned even in the Bible by Saint Apostle Paul in 2 Thessalonians 2. So don't lose your faith. You was warned there will come that. And the evil local group use also such fake organization aliens against nature with humanoid robots and impersonators to deceive by giving through them appearance of officialities for asking the like that with the appearance of an official alliance tricked by no one, huge sums of money from the public wealth of the taxpayers of the countries of the world themselves, the most part of them having either infiltrated or even directly the whole leadership formed of the evangelical group with traitors and or humanoid robots and or impersonator operated aesthetic or not instead of their leaders, and all of them support also the evangelical group hijacking from the public wealth huge sums of money, resources and properties with such pretext, and even sending people to death in calculated wars and making others to abandon their own world for taking refuge to be able to steal them, restored by themselves. So the danger is huge, the deception is also huge for the whole mankind, but for helping somehow you have now to say firstly what you are able to do directly, to save exactly the existence of Japan as state, to save the freedom of yourselves, to save your basic and fundamental rights, to save the democracy destroyed by the traitors helping the evil local group and the enemies of Japan, to save Japan for your children, to let them a safe country. And I wish to all wisdom, light, and peace. Now, without it and without public participation, even the existence of Japan as state is endangered through the dirty work of the evil local group, through the local traitors you know, and through the mob of Russia and China helped in that dirty work by the Japanese traitors. But I still don't believe that Japan as state died with Michiko, the empress, who was killed. But I still don't believe that. I will finish with the words of Mahatma Gandhi again. Quote, numerous examples have convinced me that God ultimately saves him whose motive is pure, and God has been for me a treasure beyond price. May he be so to every one of us. And there are moments in your life when you must act even though you cannot carry your best friends with you. The still small voice within you must always be the final arbiter when there is a conflict of duty. And even a single lamp dispels the deepest darkness. And also Mahatma Gandhi, even the most despotic government cannot stand except for the consent of the governed. Immediately the subject ceases to fear the despotic forces, his power is gone. How was one to treat alike insolent and corrupt officials, co-workers of yesterday raising meaningless opposition, and men who had always been good to one, and your tomorrow depends entirely on what you do today. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. Finish the quote. So, check well. The religious ask God for light, and the other elect from your conscience, from your heart, and for your future. Checking well. And so, voting for your freedom as country and as human beings. I repeat, the Japanese shamans were the first in the world who saw the divinity in the Holy Child born near the animals, where people in the whole city had no place for his birth. And they were guided by the Holy Spirit through the shining stars the long way to find and worship to the Holy Child with gifts of gold, incense, and mirrors. And now, other people who in the past say that Japan needs to be enlightened by them want to keep it in dark and annex it through despotism, war, and deception. Don't allow. May the divinity show the truth for all religion and for atheists too, for their good, how to vote, for their future, and for their children to grow up in freedom, light, and peace. To all, for public participation and asking to think well for a good start for all of you, for your freedom, for your right, for protecting the existence of the country targeted to be annexed and thrown in war, and even for saving the whole mankind endangered by the evil group in their wish for the Third World War, wanted to be started by destroying Japan and in danger to transform the whole world through nuclear attacks in the huge cenotaph. So vote now from your heart for Japan, for freedom, for light and peace, for your future, for your children, to bring up them in a better world, in the Japanese garden with millenary tradition of freedom, harmony, peace, democracy, and respect for everyone. And I recommend you very many vigilance in elections and in your life too. They are very cunning. They deceived you, but remember the Japanese wisdom. Fall 6 times, stand up 7. Destroy a country, but its mountains and rivers remain. So don't give them annexed to the enemies. Keep them for your children, even if the traitor promised them. So . May God help Japan. May God give you light to vote the good for Japan. To all, in the name of Japan, Eva, peace. And I thank